Hello students, welcome to the MEMONEET. Myself Ritik Sir, your biology SME. Yes, in the last video, what all the things that we have discussed? Yes, yeah, regarding the reproductive health, right? So where we had a discussion about what is reproductive health, proper definition on reproductive health, and what are the implementation, right? What are the problems that has been happening on the reproduction, and what are the implementation that the government have came in order to eradicate this health issues regarding the reproduction. Everything was been discussed. So today we will try to discuss on the population stabilization as well as the birth control topic. See, one thing we need to understand when I'm talking about the population stabilization and the birth controllers, see, all around development. So we know that recently, in recent years and all, there is a significant improvement has happened, right? In where? In the various fields, right? So because of those significant improvements and developments in the various fields and all, it could be technical, medical, social, everywhere. Because of the various improvements in this, the in all round development in a various field, so that has actually improved the quality of the ordinary people, like life of the people, right? So by this thing, what happened, this has increased this has facilitated the increase in the better living condition. And also it has been also explored the impact on the growth of the population. That means it has actually added an advantages for the growth of the population. Right. So one thing that you need to know is because of all these advantages that we have been seeing, right? So it has actually a rapid decline that could be seen where in the death rate of maternal mortality rate as well as infant mortality rate, that is MMR and IEMR. There's nothing but maternal mortality rate and infant mortality rate. So, but because of these all advantages, it has been decreasing this death rate, right? So this has also increased what number of people in it has increased the number of people in reproductive age are probably the reason. That means it has actually added an advantages for the growth of the growth rate, basically. So through our reproductive child health program, that is RCH, which is trying to bring up the awareness and trying to bring down the population growth rate also. So it was only marginal. That means till it was only marginal because according to 2011 census, what happened is the population growth rate was less than 2%. Okay, so that is out of less than 2%. So, but now what we are seeing is there is actually an increase in the population could be seen, a rapid increase could be seen. So one thing is because of the basic requirements, like we have been getting many advantages, right, regarding health sector as well as government sector, everything. So this will actually ultimately lead to the scarcity of even a basic requirement such as food, shelter, clothing, and all. So therefore, the government was forced to take up some of the serious issues. Like, see, in the classroom, if I have only two chocolates and there are 20 to 40 students, how will I equally distribute it to all the 40 students, right? It is not possible. Even though if I try to distribute it to all the 40 students by having only five chocolates, what happen? It will lead to a scarcity. Like nobody is going to enjoy the chocolate taste, right? Same thing. So if population rate is more, if population is more, then obviously, it will lead to the scarcity of food, shelter, as well as clothing. Because Earth is round, we know it. Earth is stagnant. It means it has its own shape. It has its own, area. India, again, it is not going to get extended or decreased, right? So India will be India. So area of the India will be same. So what is happening? We people are getting more, like population is getting more. Everybody is preferring to have their own home, right? So obviously they are going to take the sites, they're going to cut down the trees, forest, everything. So ultimately what is happening? Scarcity of place, scarcity of shelter, food, clothing, and all. Opportunities also. So one of the most important step to overcome this problem is to motivate for the smaller families by using various method. So one thing is motivating the smaller family, motivating for the smaller family. by just giving up some advertisements in the media, mass media, through the newspaper, posts, bills, etc. and all, like showing couples with happy family, couples with like two couples with two children, then two couples with one children, with a slogan of hum do hamare do. You know the slogan, right? Hum do hamare do, like we two, our two, something like two is nothing but two, we two is nothing but hum do, like couples, and hamare do, like two children, something like that. And you know, many couples, mostly the younger urban working one, they have even adopted and one child norm. That is, okay, the one who are working, their one child norm is nothing but okay. We don't want like two. It's fine. Like we are having only one child itself is enough. So even they came up with that strategy also. So one thing, and rising up a strict rules regarding the marriage, marriageable age. That is for female mandatory is 18 years, and for the male it has to be like 21 years. So yeah, this was also very important thing, like just by having a restrictions in the age also, it can reduce the reproductive thing. Then increasing the for giving the couples with a proper small family planning, and what are the measures to take up if they are failing, finding some issues, by giving describing them advantages of having the smaller family planning, and giving them up, describing some of the common used contraceptive methods which help them to prevent the unknown pregnancy also. So here when I'm talking about contraceptives, contraceptives, it means not a random, but it should be an ideal contraceptives, like ideal contraceptive in sense. So it should be user friendly, it should be available wherever you want. Like say I need a contraceptives like condom, whatever it is, I should not travel to some else state to get it. It should be available in the local medical market, something like that. And it should be reversible with no or less side effects, right? So these are things. And it should also not interfere with the sexual drive. That is, when a couple are having a sexual intercourse, right, this contraception should not interfere in the sexual drive or desire or sexual act, and it should not make them discomfortable. That is also very important. So that says the ideal contraceptive. Then these ideal contraceptive range have been broadly grouped into different categories, namely natural or traditional one, then barriers, another one, IUDs, oral contraceptives, then injectables, implants, and surgery methods. So one by one, let us see what all the things are. So I'm talking about the natural method of contraceptives. Naturally, you are trying to avoid the fertility rate. So how? Avoiding the chances of fusion of ovum and sperm meeting. So if you actually avoid the chances of fusion of ovum and sperm meeting, that means fertilization will not happen. How? Periodically, what you need to do is, we know that normally what happens is, we normally consider one such method, like periodic absence, like during the menstrual period, initially from the day 10th to 17th of the menstrual cycle, where we can expect the ovulation period. Okay, so this is very important point. So 10th to 17th of our menstrual cycle, female menstrual cycle, is said to be the ovulation period. So just, and where we normally expect the ovulation part. So during that time, if you avoid the interaction, sexual intercourse, right? So that also will lead to an, chances of getting pregnant less or zero. This is one point. Then another thing is, so that is actually been called as, uh, yeah, what is it? During this period. So it is actually could be prevented, right? So this is one method. Another method is withdrawal of the penis, like male. Basically, what happens is the male partner, if he withdraws his penis from the vagina just before the ejaculation, right? So this will avoid what? Insemination. This is another very important. How does insemination happens? So when the male ejaculates the semen through the his penis into the vagina, that is called insemination, right? So insemination can be avoided by just by withdrawing the penis before before giving up ejaculating the sperms. This is one thing, semen. Then even in lactation period, absence of menstrual cycle can be seen, like after mother gives birth to a child. So during her initial lactation period, till the mother is able to feed her child the breastfeed, right? So that time is also said to be where the menstrual cycle will be nil, basically. So that is also a time where you can expect like fertilization chances is very less. That is maximum up to 6 months after the parturition. Okay. So this is one thing. So this natural method of contraceptive has no side effects. One thing, and you can use it very simply. Okay, it has no side effect, and we can use it very simply. But chances of getting failed is more because and risk is also more because we don't know what might happen. Yes. So this is one method. Then the second is the barrier method. So in barrier method, what we are doing is we are actually preventing the physical, meeting of the ovum and sperm with the help of some barriers. Such barriers, like we normally use such barriers like condoms. We use some condoms basically, uh, which is actually a thin rubber latex sheet. Okay, so which is actually thin rubber or latex sheets that are being used to cover the penis of the male or vagina and the cervix in the female, like just before the coitus, so that what happens during the ejaculation, semen would not get entered into the female reproductive tract. So it will be stored in the um, condom itself. So the semen will not come out of the condom. So that means what happens? Fertilization will not happen. So there is another way for female. What happens will not enters into the female reproductive tract. So this can also prevent the contraception. Then we have another drug like called Nerod, right? So it is the popular brand of common, basically. So Nerod is actually a common, brand of condom that normally male use them. And recent years, the uses of condom has also been improved and increased, okay, with the different flavors and all. And additional benefits of using a condom is it will avoid the transmission of some sexual contact diseases like STI and AIDS, STDs, STI and AIDS and all. So both male and female, they have a condoms, and the condoms can should always be disposable, and it should be self inserted. That means uh, the couple should be able to use those condoms by themselves, so that they don't get discomfortable, or they don't feel as if they're not getting privacies. So using you should they should get their privacy while using this also. That is also very important thing. Then we have some barriers, like barriers in female, like diaphragms and cervix caps and walls. So these are some of the panniers which are actually made up of rubber that are basically inserted in the female reproductive tract, that is, which covers the cervix during the coitus. So this will also block the entry of the sperm through the cervix. Okay, it's just like it acts as a door where it is blocking the person coming out from the coming out into the house. In the same way, it will block the entry of the sperm. Okay, this is one thing. Then there are other such and they are again reusable, and there are again some spermicidal creams are also being used, and jellies are used being used, and foams are also used, which acts as a barrier to increase the contraceptive effects. Then we have a pills like IUDs. Okay, IUDs are nothing but intrauterine devices, right, which is very effective and popular method. So these devices are normally inserted through the professional doctor and professional expert nurse. Yes, it has been inserted into the uterus through the vagina, in the uterus through the vagina. This is one point. And these uterine, devices are present available. They are also called as non-medicated IUDs. So what are the main things? Example is lip is low. So something like there are this is one example, and copper releasing IUDs like CUT, CU7 and multi-load 375. These are copper releasing IUDs, and hormones releasing IUDs like progesterone and LNG20. So what are the advantages is, see what happens is we have this progesterosis of the, it basically increases the phagocytosis of the sperm, that is sperm death. Okay, these IUDs will increases the phagocytosis, that is sperm death within the uterus, and again you will also see the cu ions releases, right? So that is the copper releasing iuds, they are going to release some the cu ions, right? So they are going to suppress the sperm motility. So if it suppresses the sperm motility, what happens? Fertilization capacity of sperm will be less, therefore fertilization will not happen. Then we have hormones releasing iuds, right? Like progesterone, like LNG20 and all. So they are suitable, like they will make the uterus non-suitable for the implantation. So if implantation will not happen, what happens? Fertilization will not happen, embryonic development will not happen, right? So this is one point. And IUDs are actually said to be an ideal contraceptive for the female who want to delay their pregnancy or space for the children. So, and it is most widely accepted with less, disadvantages, and one of the most highly accepted method in India. Then we have some oral administrative contraceptives also, like a small dose of, like progesterogens or progesterone estrogen combination pills. We can call them as pills, okay? So they are being used in the form of tablets, or hence they've been called as pills, yes. So these pills have been taken daily, like for a period of 21 days, initially like starting 5 days of the menstrual cycle, and after a gap of 7 days, like during which the menstrual cycle occurs. So it has to be repeated in the same pattern every time, okay, if you want to prevent the pregnancy. So this inhibits what ovulation, then implantation also it is going to avoid. So as well as the, it is going to also prevent the entry of the sperm also. Pills are very effective with less side effect, and we can expect by the female, like all most of the females can be used. So one good example of that pills is Saheli, which is actually a new oral contraceptive for the female. So one thing is which has been a new oral contraceptive for the females containing a non-steroid preparation. So like if it has no steroids, it can be used with less disadvantages. So it has been used once in a week pill, while very few side effects with high contraceptive value. Then we have as progesterone along in the combination with the estrogen can also be used as the female, used by the female as injections or implants under the skin. Okay. So injections can be used as injections or implants under the skin. So these mode of action of, it's somewhat similar to the pill, but their effect is for the long time, long lasting, long much of time. So what it does is, here we have the progesterone and progesterone combination or IUDs which have been used. So what happens is during adverse condition, like to avoid unwanted pregnancy during the rape cases or casual unprotected intercourse, if you use this before the 72 hours itself, so it is going to, avoid the contraceptive, like avoid possible pregnancies, okay, during the rape cases or casual unprotected intercourse. Then we have the surgical method. So in the surgical method, what happens? We have two. One is vasectomy. Can you see here? So one is vasectomy. Another one is tubectomy. Yes. See, vasectomy is normally used in the male, and tubectomy is normally being used in the female. So in vasectomy, what happens is you are actually going to, if a male is not, they don't want to have unwanted pregnancy, like sperm release, semen release, and all. So a small part of the vas deferens has been cut and tied. Okay, so yeah, it has been cut and tied so that whatever the spermatogenesis happens and sperm production will not pass through the vasa deferens from the yeah. So this is one point. The next, that is from the scrotum. This is one point. So in female, what happens if a female she doesn't want to have an unwanted pregnancy and she is fed up, like she don't want to have a pregnancy planning itself. So they go for the tubectomy. Like what happened, small part of the fallopian tube is cut and it has been tied. So as a result, what happened? The sperm will also not go through the fallopian tube and fertilization will also not happen. So this is one way. Okay. So this is one way of avoiding the unwanted pregnancy. But one disadvantages of it is, uh, yeah, this is actually very highly effective and 100% resulting, technique. One thing, but the chances of reversing, okay, like now, no, I just want to again get like fertile and all. The chances of reversing is really very poor here. So now we are in the last slide, that is a kind of summary thing. So one thing is we need to understand, we need to use a suitable, okay, we need to select a suitable contraceptive method and we need to use, okay, uh, how we cannot randomly pick some contraceptives. We should consult a qualified medical professionalist like a doctor or a well-practiced nurse regarding what kind of contraceptive is best suitable and best use. This is one thing. And one most important thing is that the contraceptives are not regularly required to maintain a proper reproductive health. This is another very important fact. So, in fact, so practiced against a natural reproductive event, what happens? It could also leads to many disadvantages. So, one is forced to use this method either to prevent, why this method has been used, either to prevent the pregnancy or to delay the space. Okay, either to prevent the pregnancy or delay the space, pregnancy due to some of the personal reason. And no doubt this is actually one of the best way or method with its own significant role in checking the uncontrolled growth of population. So however, these possible ill effects like nausea or abdominal pain, breast through bleeding, irregular menstrual bleeding, or even breast cancer, these all things, they do not play any significant role, but they should not be avoided when it comes to contraceptive thing. So this was all about the population and barriers, like chapters like population stability and the birth control, where we had a discussion about like what is population, birth control, and why this population has been increasing, what are the different ways of contraceptives. So where we discussed the natural way of contraception, then withdrawal, like the natural way. Then another effective population method is like using the IUDs. That is also a contraceptive that can also be used. Then one thing is we can also like naturally pills and all are required. So when that pills can be administered during the pregnancy, and progesterone along with injections are being there. So when these things to be done and what are the advantages, and also surgical methods are also being there, and how to and what are the advantages and disadvantages of the surgical methods. So these all concepts points have been discussed in this video. So one thing I just want to say you guys is without practice, we won't get anything. Even me, you, anybody, without practice, you won't get anything. So those who are actually feeling like even reading, mug upping by hearting more and more number of times, you're not able to score well, that's fine. These tests, will actually boost you the confidence and give you a confidence like how much do you know. So if your performance is getting poor, no issues, because what now you have to do is you have to learn from those mistakes and come up with a strong mentality and give your 100% best. And one major important thing is you have to solve more number of PYQs. I suggest you to, if you are a MEMONEET users, please, we have an allied plan where there are around more than like 15,000 questions have been framed from biology part, and they're purely NCERT textbook based and NTA 2025 syllabus pattern based itself. So what happens is during this initial web, each and every single individual line has been converted into questions. So one thing is you will cover up the entire syllabus, one question. Second thing is now you'll be able to understand what are the topics, how the topics have been asked in the exams and all, and you will have a clarity regarding those things, those aspects. And another very important thing is I prefer like if you are planning to buy any PYQs from the market, I prefer you to buy the MEMONEET NTA PYQ book because I'll say you why, because NTA PYQ book consists of all the previous year questions, which is from 2019 to 2025. So the questions have been separated based on chapters, topics. You will find the from which year the question was asked, and detailed explanation and crisp explanation, crisp as well as detailed explanation. Not only that, you will also understand, the blueprint, entire blueprint of the NTA. Okay, and what type of questions have been asked and what kind of questions will they ask even this year. So those things you can predict it. That's why I'm saying you, if you are still planning out, think of, purchasing our NTA PYQ book. Thank you.